on.
Hi. This week I'd like to share a little bit about sentence structure. It seemed like this was a shaky lesson for us. And I have an assignment due this week that revolves around identifying sentence structure. Largely, we teach this as a unit where you identify someone else's writing. And one thing I like to do is get students to start identifying their own sentence structure, sentences that they've written, and what that structure is. For the most part, we have 4 different types of structure. So here is a sample of the 4 different types. The first is a simple sentence or an independent clause. It's basically a subject and a verb. So here's some examples. He ran, or he ran to the store. After lunch, introductory clause, but not a full sentence. He ran to the store. On his way home, prepositional phrase, introductory clause, but really what happens here is he ran. Again, we have these little bits of dependent parts, but nothing that changes the subject and verb, he ran, which tends to be a theme here. It's kind of like Forrest Gump. Compound sentence. So if the first simple sentence makes an independent clause, a clause that can stand on its own, then a compound sentence joins 2 independent clauses. Like 2 independent people, we can't just join them and fuse them together. That makes a fused sentence or a run-on. So just eliminating the period won't do it. It just makes 2 sentences artificially squished together. What we need to do is use a comma and a coordinating conjunction should we want 2 sentences to be fused together in a proper way. We do this a lot. He ran, so he ran to the store. Or I told him to run, comma, and he ran. This is a pretty good example. Notice that I have I told him, that's the first subject verb. He ran, second subject verb, have to be separated, comma, coordinating conjunction, and or for nor but yet so are the coordinating conjunctions. Here's one after dinner, introductory clause. I told him to run to the store down the street, but he did not run. These are pretty lame. I have more interesting stuff, but they can get a little dicey. So I told him to run to the store. I am the actor, told him as the verb, but coordinating conjunction meaning opposed. He did not run. So it's pretty easy. His uncle and he played cards, or his uncle and him played cards and made hot cocoa, but they did not have any marshmallows. Drafts. Complex sentence. This is where it gets a little tricky. It must include dependent words or subordinate conjunctions. Sometimes a subordinate conjunction like after is also a prepositional phrase. So you need to make sure that after, or the subordinate conjunction, is actually preceding an independent clause, a simple sentence, a subject and verb. Here are some examples. Oh, and there's a second part here too. Type 1, the structure of it, requires a comma. Type 2 does not require a comma. It depends where the dependent word occurs. If it occurs first, then it needs a comma. If it's embedded in the sentence, then it doesn't need a comma. So, if you don't quit doing cheating, all right, this was a different one. I decided to edit it so as to not make people upset. If you don't quit cheating, your life will be ruined. So if is our dependent word. We see it right here. If, dependent word. You don't quit cheating is essentially a sentence. If you don't quit cheating, your life will be ruined. If you make the hot cocoa with water, you ruin it for everyone else. That's a true story. And then finally, because the park is now full of trash, it is unsafe for children to play. You may have been taught never to start a sentence with because. That is not true. I just did it. The real rule is if you start a sentence with because, it will absolutely need at least 1 comma. And that will be between the 2 independent clauses. One has now become dependent, the one with the because. There's a structure that has no comma, and that's when you embed the subordinated conjunction in the sentence. So, for example, your life will be ruined. That's one of our independent clauses. If, subordinated conjunction, you don't quit cheating. You ruin it for everyone else when, subordinated conjunction, you make the hot cocoa with water. It is unsafe for children to play because the park is now full of trash. Finally, we have compound complex sentences. You can use either of these complex structures, but now we're going to add on another independent clause with a coordinated conjunction. So this first one starts with the complex structure where we begin with the subordinated conjunction. When you are finished, please see the principal. Please see the principal is kind of an odd, independent clause. It's actually an imperative. It has an implied you, since it's when you are finished, please see the principal. So it's actually technically an independent clause. So we have our complex sentence right there, our subordinated conjunction, you are finished, comma, independent clause, please see the principal. And then we're going to tack on our last independent clause, comma, and coordinated conjunction, you should bring your homework. The person making a bomb threat was not worried because they were in another country, and it is very tough to arrest a terrorist from another country. Finally, the terrorist was not worried, so they felt completely safe when they threatened members of the school's administration. The terrorist was not worried, independent clause, comma, coordinated conjunction, there's our compound. Now I need a complex here. They felt completely safe, independent clause, when, subordinate conjunction, they threatened members of the school's administration. So these are all examples of sentences that you will be identifying in your own writing this week. I wish you luck. Have a good day.